Welcome back to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now let's start with the first story. It's called Stayed in My Place. I have worked in the automotive industry for a long time, and I've worked hard to prove myself to be a competent mechanic. I do brakes, transmission work, engine swaps, whatever is needed of me that day. And I'll help out the counter guys when they get backed up. I was helping the guys up front, because they were backed up, and I was waiting for a part to come in, so I didn't really have anything else to do. My boss comes out and tells me, "Your place is in the shop, get out of the office." So I go back into the shop and sit down while I wait for the part I need. Fast forward a week later. The front guys are slammed and I'm looking for something to do, but I'm in the shop where my place is. My boss comes out and asks if I'd help out. I replied with, "No, my place is back here in the shop. I'm following orders. You'll get caught up," and started sweeping in the back. The other techs thought I was in the right, but my boss wrote me up for failing to follow orders. I'm confused. I stayed in my place. The next story is called Very Advanced. A few years ago, my colleagues and I attended a training course. Part of it was communication, more theoretical than practical. The thing is, before this job, I taught communication, among other things, for several years at a nursing school. That's why I just sat there quietly during that part of the training course. I didn't want to ruin this part of the training for my colleague or the course leader. During the short introduction round, I mentioned that I had taught communication. That's why I was holding back. Apparently, the course leader didn't like that. She asked for participation, and I said again that I didn't want to mess up her lesson, because I probably already knew what she was getting at. She then said something like, "If you don't participate, you won't pass the training course." She then went too far with the sentence, "My course is very advanced. You can't do that." Okay, if you have to. She had already written the letters S and E on the board. The standard beginning for the classic blackboard picture for Schultz von Thun's 4 ears model. Her last comment made me no longer want to be nice. Should I go to the blackboard or join in from my seat? With a triumphant smile, she pointed to the blackboard. Well, I basically explained the model from memory, the way I used to in my lessons, including the standard example, easier to understand examples, and hints as to where the difficulties in understanding this model lie. After that, she explained at length to everyone that everything I had said was nonsense, because I had not used the correct technical term for an ear, but a different word that meant the same thing. Somehow the rest of the communication part was very monologue-like, because my colleagues were no longer interested in their lessons. The third story is called All You Can Eat. Many years ago, over 20, my wife and I kept a boat at a lake near our home. The marina had a restaurant that had an all-you-can-eat fried catfish on the menu. These catfish were whole and just about the size of a grown man's hand. We've been eating there 3 or 4 times a month for the past 3 years. I held the record of 17 catfish consumed. And Pete, the owner/cook, always said that I was maxed out and could never better my score. Wife and I had 10 family and friends visiting for my birthday, and we all went to the marina for dinner. I boldly and loudly announced that I was going to beat my record of 17 catfish. Obviously, Pete overheard me and took our orders. A lot of beer was being consumed. Pete brought out 9 platers, turned to me and said, "Beat your record and everything is on the house." With cheers all around, Pete then said, "Fail and you have to give Gail and Debbie a 25% tip." Everyone, including me, agreed and just knew we were getting a free meal. Pete went back to the kitchen and brought out my first catfish. That thing weighed 5 pounds. I could not even eat the one. Everyone laughed and we did have a great time. And yes, the girls got their tip and I never messed with Pete again. The next story is called Loyalty. I'm a worker bee in a company that got bought out by a much bigger company earlier this year. Even though we were a small company, the teams were flexible and everyone helped each other, and the company was profitable. Not to the new ownership though. Apparently our company was terrible and needed to be immediately fixed with structure, hierarchy and order. The managers I've worked so well with over the years are gone. The new owners promised no change. Nothing to worry about. Everything will be the same. Except that within a month, all the experienced managers who made the workplace so great to work for are let go. What is worse, they've been replaced by emotionless, rocking husks resembling ghosts, with hammers as their only tool. And we are all nails. Never mind the incessant preaching of company spirit and loyalty and respect and company values. We all moan at these pep talks. We all yawn at the town halls. Then the less subtle threats. Oh, you're not a team player if you don't do X, Y and Z. You need to work overtime, or else that's not fair to everyone else. You're leaving on time again. The culture certainly has changed. For one, I didn't even dare to take off early to pick up my kids from school anymore. Finally, the toxic culture of fear and backstabbing. Every word said against the direction, even off the cuff in a chit-chat, and every little facial or non-verbal gesture against the flow, I immediately and harshly met with reprimands. For example, another worker bee was recently let go for restructuring, despite stellar work performance. He just couldn't keep his thoughts to himself, I guess. Many of us are contemplating of leaving, but the job market is quite depressing in our area. The cost of living is high, and we are afraid of being the neck that sticks out, so everyone suffers in silence. The company recently appointed a new CEO, who in his opening introduction to everyone demanded undivided loyalty to him. It means we must follow his every direction. I believe loyalty goes both ways, but we can show you loyalty. We all got the message. For those of us who read and trust each other, but we still need to be careful, we would have hours-long meetings with each other on topics that sound important, but don't actually matter. We make sure our days are jam-packed, full of discussions on how to move initiatives forward, but never actually discuss anything of substance, and never have aggressive action items to follow up on. We absolutely never forget to praise the leadership in the meeting minutes. Off the books though, there's lots of small talks, for the sake of team building. Whenever we are questioned by these husks of a ghost, we'd pull out the corporate roadmap and point to the initiatives we've spent so many hours working on. We'd defend our time with the budget that recently got rolled out. Look, we are on site. We've gone so far as requesting additional resources in next year's budget to ensure our very busy initiatives continue to make headway. We are basically creating a public perception of busy, without actually doing too much. We were a lean small company. Now we are a fat busybody, where everything is bloated and compartmentalized. We lost money in the last several months. That's the price we pay to give one-sided loyalty. We are still looking for other jobs. The last story is called Gluten-Free. My sister, 25-ish at the time, worked for a big box store for a few years. She was working by the automotive department one afternoon shift when she heard the familiar sound of the price gun. She then saw her friend, an assistant manager of that area, Leo, labeling every item on her shelf. Reading the label on a bottle of oil, my sister noticed it said, gluten-free. "What are you doing, man?" Leo smirked and said, "Management wants every item in our department marked gluten-free. I made sure that's what they wanted, and I was told that is what they said, so it should be done." He didn't get in trouble, the manager being a decently humored fellow, and he was told to remove all the stickers with gluten-free on them. My sister said that 5 years later, a new assistant manager of automotive, long after Leo left for a new job, took a large brush used to clean off snow and asked her why it was marked gluten-free. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.